You know, I was just thinking of some experiences that I personally have where intelligence wanted me to have a little talk with those that had died and then they brought back to life and they wanted to entrap their human spirit in Sheol, Shaol, poo, so that when they brought them back after being on ice, they did not have any conscious awareness of good or evil in their minds. It didn't matter. You shut down their whole body. You turned off their brain except for them watching the show. Oh, a little experimentation with bringing those back to death, to life. Now, I'm sure that there's a lot of Jewish individuals that remove the heads of their loved ones. You've been cutting off the head again? Phew. Deuteronomy states, oh, this is in the Torah or the Talmud, that if it can be shown that evil minded men subverted the residents of a city and persuaded them to worship false gods, the city and all its inhabitants are to be completely destroyed. Ooch. The Arar not Hidahat, the subverted city. Now I know. Should we blow up all of Port Angeles? Oh my gosh, terrorist attack. Do you have some nuclear weapons that you didn't want me to know about? Have you been playing with nuclear devices again? You know, when I went to jail the first time, there was this concept of selling illegal nuclear armaments to those that wanted to cause a civil war. Now, when I know that you've been deading individuals, calling it putting them on ice, where you dart them, and you wake them up a few years later, so that you can use their brains to watch the show. Is there any individuals in this county or Jefferson County that you have put on ice for the last 40 years where they should have stayed dead, but you wanted to do the experiment of can we take the human soul and put it in Sheol, that the Jews believe is the place where all their deceased loved ones are, as they're waiting for the Messiah to show up and release them? Ooh, do you know what I'm talking about? Now I actually do know what I'm talking about. Seemed like somebody decided to dead a lot of American citizens and they jump started their heart, turned back on their organs and rebooted their brains and then acted like, well, what's your problem? I've lost my human spirit to the underworld and I'm just waiting for my ancestors to be released. All movable goods are to be collected and burned with the city, and the city is not to be rebuilt. Now, is that Deuteronomy 13:13 to 18? Now, the Talmud introduced a number of qualifications to the law. First, a city will only be considered subverted if the majority of its residents are guilty of worshiping idols. Second, there must be at least 100 idolaters in the city. Then, as there must be at least 100 idolaters. Second, wait a second here. Second, there must be at least 100 idolaters in the city. Then, as well, with all punishment, no guilty person may be executed unless he was forewarned of the enormity of his offense and its penalty. Oh, further mitigating circumstance is the existence of a single mezuzah or Bible with God's name in it in the city. uh, in which case it cannot be deemed to or iron not a hat or destroyed. Now there is other limitations are that the law applies only to in Eretz Israel. Through Jerusalem is specifically exempted. Though Jerusalem exempted from this destroying of cities. As in any city, for destroying such a city might weaken the country's defense system. Now let's think about those in Judaism that like to experiment on anything and everything they want because nobody's going to tell them they can't do what they're doing. Did I need to have the whole city destroyed and every resident removed because you decided to experiment on citizens? You thought you'd put them on ice for a few years because they just became an annoyance to the police or sheriff's department. Now, how many individuals, as residents or citizens of this County and Jefferson County have been deaded, ooch. And then you decide to reboot their bodies, reboot their brain, and see how they would function as individuals. Oh, have you been worshiping? Sheriff, how many citizens of Clallam County have you deaded? Ooh, experimentation on the citizens. I do know what I'm talking about.